Welcome back to another year of Leadership Series 3.0 with increased community engagement, highly important topics discussed with our own community leaders on STEM to Innovate's Leadership Series 3.0. Leadership matters even more in 2021. Yes, you heard it right. The true test of leadership is how well you function in a crisis. Stay tuned to hear leaders' diverse perspectives in the most engaging episodes ahead.
What was important for us at that time? Was it really simply our grade or my paycheck or the cars that were parked in my driveway? Or was it simply making sure that we stayed healthy, we stayed together, we reached out and helped somebody in our community? What gave us the gratification? And I'm hoping that as we move forward, and I'm hoping like anyone that this vaccine is effective and slowly but for surely we'll get back to that, the humdrum of life, that we don't forget that. And I want to make sure that our youth are reinforced with that.
And for every neighborhood to come to an order, we must first fix the streets. And to fix any street, we must begin with the homes. And for the first home to be changed is mine.
This is just one example, but it has taught us a lesson of risk management and proper program planning and evaluation. And that is where leadership plays a key role, because everybody is looking up to you for answers.
All right, welcome back to Leadership Series 3.0, the vision that was started almost 3 years ago in Leadership Series 1.0 when we started over 3 years ago. The idea behind of that was just to ensure that we are able to lift up people in our communities, highlight some of the great things happening, not just limited to our backyard, but most around the vicinity, the not limited to a particular city, but also like the entire area, which is not just limited to our Texas. We actually had people coming to our leadership series and shared some of the wonderful things in their own particular state, or even had folks coming from Canada on leadership series. So leadership series is about empowering the community members, highlighting some great things happening, and also to drive inspiration from the leadership series. And we all have a very amazing guest with us today who is very kind and gracious enough to be part of and to be appeared on the leadership series. So without further ado, Mayor Robin, I want to give you a quick background on Robin Elackatt. Was sworn in as city's highest elected official, presiding officer on December 21st in 2020. And for many years, over 15 years, I would say he has been advocating for city initiatives, including spearheading the council's approval to allocate more resources for sidewalks, repairs in the communities, voting to ensure that budget accountability and transparency is there, identifying the need for ongoing infrastructure, maintenance citywide, assisting many efforts such as in business development and supporting public safety. He has done a lot of great things in that regard, and also he has been previously served as a District C councilman from 2009 to 2013. And during his tenure, he partnered with multiple homeowner associations in district to help the quality of life for the local families. He has also been a fellow council members stakeholders to ensure the Missouri City remains one of the best communities in the nation. That was his goal, and it still remains his goal. Mayor Elackatt has and his family purchased their first Missouri City home in 2005. They've been residing in the area for many years. Discovered a call to serve in his 20s, and then he became the president of the Chicago Catholic Youth League. Cananea Catholic League, which is he did that in 1992 to 1994. He has done a lot of other great things, and when he ran for the city council, he served as a vice chairman and board member of City's Parks Board, and also served on the Colony Lakes Homeowner Association Board. And the list goes on and on. And without further ado, Mayor Elackatt, Robin, thank you for being on the Leadership Series. It's an honor.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm just grateful to be part of this, Leadership 3.0, which is exciting, as many times I have sat on the other side and watched your show and with all the guests. So this is pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, glad to know that this is what a platform to connect, and we got to empower. Oftentimes, there's so many great things happening, and sometimes we just oversee that. So this one way to connect at the grassroots of different folks and different communities, and also looking at ways to empower each other. We saw last year, it was a crazy year. I mean, still, we haven't been completely out of the shadows yet, right? We still have yet many ways to go about out of this pandemic. That still is there. There's still we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, which is a great thing. With the vaccine is out, and community leaders like you who are promoting some of the great things and empowering people, lifting up people. Unfortunately, there has been a lot of businesses that have lost, in terms of finances. Some didn't reopen. We thought they were going to open up, but some just closed down, and things are still not completely been out of woods yet, right? So, Mayor Robin, I know that you have done a lot of great things. I see you always on your weekends and even weekdays in the evenings. You're out talking to the folks, community members. That's leadership, in my opinion, because if you are not going out there and listening to people, what their concerns are, listening to the folks from that point of view, to empower and to engage people in the communities, then that's just talk, then I would say, right? So that's what leadership's supposed to be. Is about serving. It's about empowering. It's about lifting people up, recognizing the great work, and at the same time, being out there, making the difference and making an impact in the lives of the people, right?
Absolutely.
So, Mayor Robin, you have done some great things. Tell us, I know and especially in the 2020, you saw the impact in Missouri City, especially where you're running. You have been a mayor. You've been in the leadership there since 2020. So we would like to know, what's your vision there in terms of bringing back the normal, right? Bringing back the new normal, lifting people up, community members, their morale is down. The parents, especially the community, like people have lost jobs in the school communities, and they're looking up to the leadership for answers. So I know you're continuing to make impact. So what is your short-term and long-term vision in that regard?
Sure. Well, thank you for that question. I mean, I think that's a very important question that everybody's asking now, right? As we are getting back to somewhat of a normalcy, as you call it, one of the challenges that we have is, getting some of the businesses to reopen, and also giving people that opportunity to say, please go out there, eat local, support local, shop local, and support these guys, because it's a very challenging time for them. I mean, once you hear their stories, you hear how difficult it is, for restaurant owners or any of these particular fields that are out there that's working hard. I was being elected on December 21st, 2020. Yesterday was on, well, I would call it April, the first day of April, which was one of my happiest days since being elected into office for three and 1 week. So But that was the first ribbon cutting ceremony ever in Missouri City yesterday. And we had a daiquiri place that opened up, and he was just struggling, waited around a whole year trying to get this thing open, and then finally was able to get it open. And we went out. I've been promoting that local businesses on my Facebook page, getting people to go out there. So I'm excited because I'm getting some feedback from people saying, where is it? I'm gonna go there today. I'm going there tomorrow. So it's an exciting thing to happen. And one of the things that, as you mentioned, my background is in healthcare administration. I was in healthcare administration for about 22 years, and before I walked away from it. So I knew how this pandemic and how effective this is going to be just from watching the news, right, and having that background. So one of the first things that I was able to do since being elected into office was the whole last year, the former mayor only had about one video clip out there talking about the pandemic. Since being elected, we had our fourth one just aired with, of course, the Houston Methodist System president, Dr. Mark Boone, on our last series that talked about in very detail of, the vaccination, encouraging everyone to get it. Don't sit home and not get it. So it was a positive thing. I think right now, you'll probably see, like you said, I'm out there on evenings and on weekends, just trying to get the positive energy out there, right, to people, whether it's young crowd or older crowd, and kind of saying that, look, I'm out here, I'm still wearing my mask. I'm protecting others, right? I mean, when you wear a mask, you're not just protecting yourself, you're protecting others. So just showing an example, but just being out there to show these businesses and show these support local people that, hey, I'm out here, I empathize with you and I understand what's going on. And we're here to work with each other and help each other. And ultimately, like you said, we can get back to some sort of normalcy probably right in midsummer if everything goes okay.
Thanks for pointing that out. Really appreciate that. And you are continuing to be transparent about making sure that people are still wearing masks, and you're supporting people in that regard. And at the same time, people look up to leaders in times of crisis, and that's usually the topic that we're focused on on our leadership series, is that people really are when in times of crisis, or whether we're not in times of crisis, it's always about ensuring that the leadership is doing what's needed, what's needed that is in the best interest of the community, to build people, to build the communities. And that's what leadership should be always about. And and I really appreciate that you're on the trenches. You're doing a lot of great things in Missouri City, and in the Fort Bend community, in the Fort Bend entire county. So, which is really great to see that happening. So I know that let's take our conversation a little forward, especially with the way how things are going in the school communities. And I know that there's a lot of instruction that's still at stake. I see that with the online and the in person, and there's cases going on. It's a little bit of back and forth shift going on. What is your take on that in terms of school districts? What do you? I know there's always room for improvement, and I know they are doing what they can to do what to stabilize and to ensure that the learning and instruction is not at stake. What is your take on that? With your background in healthcare and administration, and you've done a lot of great things there as well. So what's your advice for the school leaders?
Sure. So some of the things that when we can look at school is private schools, right? Private schools have started open, some back in January and some prior to that, the semester before. And we've seen, there's still cases that pops up, right? After a spring break or right after New Year, Christmas holiday or Thanksgiving. So there's a spike up. But I still believe that they're doing everything they can to do a temperature check control. And, once you're in their facility, they're not going to let you in if your temperature is high, or if they have any suspicious means of believe that, you could, very well have some sort of fever or anything going on. So I think the schools are doing everything they can to protect, the students. But I think the issue here is that you have parents, who's tired of keeping these kids at home. I'm with you. They need to get out. They need to go to the park and open space and, spend some time out there, because this is not the normal way of us living, right? So, some of those issues that can be from there, caused from there as well. Even, schools, they're still, having the kids wear masks. And I know for cafeterias closed. So what that means is they're having the kids eat lunch in their own classrooms, and there's no cafeteria food, so they're asking parents to send meals. Or if not, if some schools they're ordering, but the meal come to your classroom versus you going out to the cafeteria and getting it. So there's a lot of protective measures that the schools, and I'm speaking for more so private schools, have put into to best practice, so to speak, right? So I think public schools, if they can take that, what's the best lessons learned and what are some of the things that we need to improve? I mean, I think when you can, kind of mirror both of them together, right? I mean, I think that would be the ideal world of, because, Doc, at some point in time, we have to get back into this. And I believe that we cannot, some people, someone asked me the other day, well, we want to keep our kids at home for the next 2 years. And they started Hightower High School as a freshman, never seen the school and never been in school. So it's hard for the kids. I mean, so, we got to make it easy for everyone. And, I would ask everyone in Missouri City, at least I would ask, and around Fort Bend County to take the vaccination. It's not, as they think, some people ask me, well, I don't want government to know all my stuff. And I'm like, it's just a vaccination. It's not a tool that they're injecting into it. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to be photographed from the inside out. So there's a lot of concerns, and I'm not saying that some of the concerns are bad or, versus what have you. But I think it's education, continuing education. And I think we need to look at all of our ISD, right? Whether it's Lamar ISD or HISD or Fort Bend ISD, we have to look at those board members and look at those, those who are running the administration to kind of say, look at the best practices, and we needed to get back into doing what we do. And I think teachers are excited to just be out there and just to speak to the kids and talk to them rather than just doing it from home and sitting behind a computer. So I think, can we do it? In a quick answer, yes. Are we there yet? Probably not. What do we need to do? Look at all the best practices, and we need to start pushing some of it through.
Excellent. And I think the key point that I took away from there is look at the best practices and continue to improve upon those. And another point you mentioned about bringing the people together from all, not just limit yourself to Fort Bend ISD, look at the experts from HISD and other areas and learn from them and come together to a proper solution in that regard. So that way we can put all our minds together and make the best approach and take the best approach from it. And I think that's the way to go in leadership. So thank you for that. I know that schools are still making a difference. We had Mr. Yafi, Clemens High School, who has been on a leadership series. He also had his take, and he also said, yes, schools got to open up. Also, we can't just continue to, even though we still have to evolve, online technology is needed. He himself, throughout the pandemic, he was there. He said he could have still worked from home like many others administrators did, but he was out there in the schools and being in the office and disconnecting as much as he could, just from that point of view. So yeah, the new normal, it's not really 100% new normal, we can say, and like all pandemics have gone, they never are here to stay forever. So we can't just call that a new normal all the time when things are just temporary. Pandemics are supposed to be temporary, not forever. So in that regard, so that's important. So thanks for highlighting that. I know that the community morale. How do you see it? What sort of morale are you seeing in the Missouri City? Are things starting to get back in shape as far as the community is growing? The people are adjusting. Are they migrating? People are coming more to the Missouri City, and from different parts of the country and across the world. I mean, do you see that people are more moving towards Missouri City in the near future, or do you anticipate that?
I think it's slow, right? Slow but slowly. I
Yeah.
think you'll see that happening. Whether people coming out or moving into Missouri City. Missouri City is the second largest city in Corbin County, right behind Sugar Land.
Right.
So we're excited about our new census that's coming into play. So that would, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm told that in about another 2 to 3 weeks that we'll get those numbers that will come in, and hopefully that can, get some of the redistricting that's going on. So allow a lot of new growth that grew in the past 10 years, and to look at that. While at the same time, Missouri City is continuing to grow. So our hope is, we're taking fully advantage of that Fort Bentall Road, where we have Amazon that's coming. They already started building there. So we have a couple of more projects that are coming there, and which will bring in jobs, right? Tons of jobs, and which one of the goals that I'm looking at is that is going to bring in some of the homes, growth of multifamily. When I say multifamily, I'm talking about more so multi-use, right? Like a condo, high-end, looking at that Rice Village concept, where you have, the 3 floors that go up, and because that's what the youngsters want. They don't want acreage. They don't want 2 acres properties. They want very low maintenance, but they want it, And I think, Doctor, I think when you look at Missouri City, we're so close to, medical center, right? So where we have to capture that, every land, every opportunity that we have to make sure that we're bringing those. We have a lot of medical center employees that live in Missouri City, also in Siena, and 100% we're not annexed in Siena to Missouri City, but they're living there, which means they're going out there to the restaurants in Missouri City and spending the money, which means that sales tax coming back to us, right? So it's more growth with Amazon coming. I'm hearing that it's about 500 plus jobs that are coming in, and that would allow people to build homes or build condos, and that would potentially stay here. So I think Missouri City in the next 2 to 3 years is in a continuous growth mode, just like Sugar Land was for the last 10 years. I mean, you have seen it from 59 Highway 6 and all the growth, and with the mall and everything that you have. So I tell everybody it's our time, and it's Missouri City time. So we're going to take full advantage of this, and I'm just extremely happy to be part of it, whether, part of the city council, whether as a mayor or not, just to be there as this growth is coming in and to partake in this growth and kind of move the city in a direction which I believe where it should be in the next 10 years. I feel like I'm very fortunate and blessed to be part of that 7 people that's there.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Robin. Really appreciate that, Mayor Robin. I know that the Missouri City is a very diverse community, just like Sugar Land, right? You got folks from all backgrounds, and they are living and they're calling that Missouri City as their home. And so how are you, with you, Robin, being there, how's that really sort of shifted, the traditional perceptions that people have of, leadership and the things that are continue to happen? I know that you sort of have, break those barriers and connecting with all people from all backgrounds. And what are your particular initiatives or additional things that you're looking at in the upcoming years in lifting up more people from all backgrounds and all communities
Sure.
in Missouri City?
Yeah. So, and I got something to tell you about this one because this is particularly near and dear to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I got, Missouri City takes a pride in our diversity, no doubt, right? Missouri City is one of the most diverse, cities in the county. We're so proud of that. So we not only look at diversity and we embrace that, right? So we take it to the next level, which is what the reason why I think Missouri City ultimately will do even better in the long run, because you have people from all over the world, all type of religion that can come in. And, when I see that, I think of opportunity, right? I mean, you have so many people that's in the community that's putting, learn different culture, different value, come from different background, can come together and put one thing together, which is Missouri City, whether it's business or whether it's, administration or what have you. So that's an advantage of it. Second thing I want to talk to you about, when I first won, Houston Chronicle did a piece on me. So they called me and said, well, we're going to put the first, I forgot what they call it, what first Asian American elected. And I told them, don't do that. And the editor called me the next day before they published it. And I said, look, when I got elected in 2009 to 2015, I stayed as a council member. I was the first Asian elected council member at that time. But the news never came out and said the first Asian elected council member, because I represented everybody. There's not just Asians in District C. There's everybody that's in District C. So I said, we needed to call it out as that District C has a new council member, which is Robin Elackatt. So the same thing I told him as mayor. I think I don't want to be known as the first Asian or first Black or first this and first that. I said, no, I want to be known as the 12th mayor of Missouri City, Texas. And no one can take that away from me except for the constituency, right? That have voted for me. So I said, so I think that's appropriate because you have a city of, so many people that voted for me, not just Asians, right? I mean, so you got to look at that. And I said, it'd be an honor if you can put something of saying that we have a 12th mayor of Missouri City, Texas. Now, by all means, someone asked me this too. I'm not degrading my Asian culture. I'm not taking away any of that. I'm so proud of it. I'm proud of the heritage and culture and values, what my parents taught me and what, everything, my community, all of that. But I said, I think it's important that we, in a diversified community such as Missouri City, that we don't start to draw lines like we do with when we do redistricting. It's like really drawing the lines. And I said no, because I think it has to be someone who can represent everybody, right? And I work in close with the Indo-American community, the Pakistan American community, so all of that, which is near and dear to my heart, which is not going anywhere. But I think the message should be on a diversity that we have a mayor. Now I'm not going to sit there and correct someone when they say the opposite way, but I said it would be great because after me, I believe it may not be an Asian, it may be somebody else. I mean, who knows, right? But so I think we need to, before we need to stop that. We need to look at, I said I like to have it be known as number 45 and 46 and 47. So I think that would be a wonderful thing. So they did go back and put 12th. So I was excited about that, but I just wanted to share that with you. Well, thank you.
Thanks for sharing that story there. Really insightful, and I think people can definitely take a positive message from what you're saying there. So thanks for that. I always ask all the members who come to the leadership series, is there a particular individual that you look up to, or maybe one or two or three people, leaders that have impacted you, or if you have drove some sort of an inspiration out of them, if you want to highlight them as a particular character trait that has really resonated with you.
Sure, I do have. I just shared this with this individual after I won, right? I mean, just out of curious, he would just called and congratulate me on the election. He's been following my campaign, have endorsed my campaign, and I never got the opportunity. As guys, we don't just ever tell them like, "Oh, you're my hero," anything like that, right? Especially in politics. But recently, somewhere along the messenger on Facebook, we just got talking. It was just something came up, and I just said, "Man, I used to watch you every time you were elected as the mayor of Rosenberg," which is I'm talking about is our current commissioner, which is Vincent Morales, right? And he was the mayor of Rosenberg back then. So every time he used to come down to Missouri, I was a city council member. He would make it always an effort to come and say hi to all the council members. A lot of times as mayor, they just talk to the mayor crowd, right? I mean, we're talking all the way up here, and then you got your council members down here, right? We put them in a bracket. But I thought it was very nice for him to come up and speak with every single person who's been a council member and say hello. Not just hello, but just talk about how everything's going. So I was able to share that story with him, and he had no idea that I thought of it like that. And I used to watch, just stand back, and while we're at Missouri City events or Fort Bend County leadership events, and I used to watch and just stand back and watch how you were dressed, how you address people, how you stay focused when someone's talking to you, and how you really cared about the issues. So, which kind of like I wanted to almost like mirror that, right? I mean, mirror that in sense of wanted to be just like that. And I said, I got an opportunity now. And I said, that's what I'm doing. And he was everywhere. He happened to be somebody that would show up to every different events, same stuff. I mean, no changes. Him and his wife were very strong, committed to each other. And they were together. She is his partner in crime, not just in politics, but in life, and all of that. Been married for so long. So I just thought Vincent Morales, who's our Fort Bend County Commissioner, and I got to say this to him, Doc. So this was the best cool part about it is, and he had no idea that I thought about it like that. But I think it was him as one of the people that I look up to. There are so many others that helped me to get here, right? There's no doubt. So if I miss someone, I think I'm going to hurt somebody. So I'm just going to leave it, for that another day. But I mean, continuing help, with Missouri City, growth of Missouri City has always been Commissioner Grady Prestidge. And then you have, for me personally, HD 27, State Rep Ron Reynolds, and our Mayor Pro Tem Anthony Maroulis, who's serving with me now. He's a Mayor Pro Tem, and former Mayor Alan Owen, whom I learned a lot of things from. Former council members that I served with. I'm not talking about now, but a long time ago. So they all helped. So many of us, so many people that helped you to shape me, because you learn something from somebody, right? You may not learn everything from one person. You look at, maybe it might be the way that someone is asking a question that you like, how they ask the question, making sure that putting citizens first. So there's I think several pieces that come together, and then you take what's best from everybody else, and you kind of like try it to yourself and see if it works, and if not, you have to go back and reshape it and kind of see how you look at it. Same thing. Joe Zimmerman, who's in Sugar Land. I used to watch him when I was on Himesh Gandhi, right? I mean, who just got off council, and then Harish Jaju. I mean, there's just so many components I can tell you from each people that I have picked up small things from, which allowed me to finesse my own skill set, so to speak, right? And then kind of become my own man. But generally, I mean, I think overall, when I looked at, it was definitely Commissioner Winston Morales, for sure.
Perfect. Well, thank you for that. Really appreciate sharing that, the specific leaders that you also have been connected with and driving inspiration from. Also want to ask you for your final message, especially for the youth. They're the leaders of tomorrow. What sort of short message you have for them, and then we'll go ahead and end our session for today.
Sure. Thank you. So, as we all politicians typically say that, youth is the future, and, we want them to be involved in all of that. One of the things that I have done, already started to, is Missouri City has something called Mayor and Youth Commission, right? Mayor's Youth Commission. So this year, or this past year being pandemic, which we didn't get to do so much to it, but I'm revamping that program, which allows for any Fort Bend ISD, any schools, whether it's academy or not, to be able to participate in that Mayor's Youth Commission. And we are revamping the program itself as to what are some of the things that they would do daily. And we have about 29 people today, and I was told at one time we had 47, 46. So I kind of wanted that strong leadership. We have a new director now, or a person that would oversee that program. But that's an opportunity for kids to learn, come in, visit with the mayor, visit with the council members, and come to city council meetings, attend different events. Especially, we did so much food and water distributions after this winter freeze, so they could be part of that. seeing how to serve a community and what does that mean, so they can get some volunteer hours as well. But understand that this is bigger than what you yourself is. Some may go to school for law. Some may decide to run for political offices in the future. But even if you don't do any of that, I think it's still a leadership format. I mean, if you want to become like you, a doctor, whatever it is that you're trying to do, I mean, I think something is there for everybody. Because in any position that you aspire yourself to be, I think you have to have some leadership qualities. That's why I enjoy watching your program, because you get to hear people really talk about leadership in a several different ways. Leadership definition is one thing, but what does that definition means to each individual is what you can learn from, right? What my leadership means to me is different than yours. So I think you can see it, learn from it. And I've told people, well, I'm not going to go to politics. I don't want to go to law school. But I said, that's okay, though. But when you participate in a community event, there is a skills. Even you learn how to deal with people. What don't you think that you need that people skill when you become a physician? Of course, you have to have that one-on-one patient interaction. So, it doesn't matter what profession you go to, you can learn something from following others around, whether it's political or non-political, but you learn something. And that is the key true element, I believe, that of shows like this, that if you can bring out, what does the leadership means to every different type of individual that's been elected is different. And you can have some CEOs of the hospital, and they'll define their leadership in a whole different way. Which is what I love the 3.0, which means it's everybody, right? And coming in. So I think for the youth, we have the Mayor's Youth Commission that is already going on right now. We have a new batch that will start beginning of the school year. So that's why we're revamping that program to make it more interesting, more appealing to kids. Not just showing up and sitting in meetings or just visiting with the mayor or council. So there's plenty of activities that we need to do. And I know that Sugar Land has a great program as well. So I told Missouri City, I said, we're going to try to beat Joe Zimmerman in Sugar Land because I'm such a competitor, right? So I'm going to do everything we can because we're going to put Missouri City number one. And you know what, Doc? I did say this to Joe Zimmerman, so he knows what I'm talking about. So I told him, like, look, if you want to be, if you're going to be LeBron James, I'm Michael Jordan of this game. So we're going to bring it. And see how it goes.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Great. And really enjoyed the conversation. Really enjoyed our discussion today. It was really nice, and really appreciate the sharing your insights and stories also. And thanks for those powerful messages, especially for the youth, because they are the leaders of tomorrow. So on that note, appreciate it. And thanks again for connecting. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you. All right.
All right, so that was Mayor Robin, really awesome individual. Really appreciated all his advices that he shared and all of the great things that he's doing for the, for mayor, for as being a mayor for Missouri City. We really look up to all the leaders who are doing some great things, and we want to continue to drive inspiration from. And just like Mayor Robin was mentioning, that everybody has a different definition of leadership, but what really matters is how they are practicing it, right? It means different to each different person, but how you are continue to engage with people, how you're connecting with people, how you're lifting up people, and that is what really matters at the end of the day. And that's what Leadership 360 is. It should be all year, every day. And that's what we continue to promote in that regard. So thank you again for watching. I really appreciate everybody's time. And if you want to continue listening to some of the great leaders like Mayor Robin, who just talked about his perspective on leadership, continue to watch us on Facebook and also on YouTube of STEM to Innovate's page, which is an initiative of STEM to Innovate Leadership Series. So thanks again, and we'll want to end on a very particular quote that comes in my mind, which of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., which is that a genuine leader is not a searcher for consensus, but a molder of consensus. So on that note, take care, and we'll be connected with additional members on the leadership series. Take care.
All of us leaders must learn from somebody who was incarcerated for so long and came out with a wonderful formula called truth and reconciliation. And that applies from Fort Bend to White House to any international dispute that may be in Middle East or South Asia or controversies in Brazil or Brexit. Truth and reconciliation is the only way for humanity to move forward.
Pain, no gain. And you think about all the pain that was derived from the national politics and all the rhetoric. And I think that we will look back on this painful year and discover that we had a lot of gains because we are much more tolerant, have a deeper understanding and appreciation of humanity. We're a lot cleaner, neater, and healthier as a result of the pandemic. So I think we will see, after having gone through this painful experience, that we're all better off and better together.
Challenges are opportunities, and because of COVID, I think a lot of people, all of us, are better people, and that actually bring opportunity. And in my case, that's what happened. So
didn't realize that it is a blessing to be able to even see people, to go in to places, to eat out, and think simple things which we never thought. Even to wear nice clothes, because when you're at home, you're going to wear the same clothes all the time. So that has been really a big thing of 2020. Resilience. We have been, it is proven that now we are very resilient and we have been able to do so many things. It is also a year of humility, like Umair mentioned, but also a year of social media. Another thing which 2020 has done is it has made us realize socialization is extremely important. Because in this year, we have heard the term social distancing over and over and over again, but we haven't heard the term loneliness, and people are feeling lonely. That is the reason we know socialization is extremely important for people, but we took it for granted. We never realized that that could be a blessing. It is a blessing. Now we know that.
So much of really all of us, our respective careers are based on relationships and based on people. And we have to keep those that are near and dear to us close and to empower them as part of our leadership. That makes us all better. But I would say we have to leave room for those that think differently. Because isolating people that think differently, even if we know they're wrong in our minds, from the true sense of right and wrong in a justice sense, we don't want to isolate people. When we isolate people, they feel they have no hope and they have no place, and that leads to a lot of dark alleys. So I'd say keep our relationships close with those that are near and dear, but leave a little room for those that think differently, because we can all learn from each other.
So for me, it's 2021 is all about continuing that journey, about making sure that we are kind to one another, that we are there for each other, that we are building our community up, and we are continuing to care deeply about the issues that are most important to us and doing whatever it is we need to make that happen.
I have incredible amount of solace in the fact that who I'm leaving behind are an incredible team, incredible community, and incredible leaders that are on this webinar right now. People that are going to carry the ball and going to run in that second half and make sure that we actually get to the end and we win. And the enemy is not ourselves, as Zafar Daher had said. The enemy is this virus, this horrific virus.
And so my job as the constable is to build other leaders, to build my deputies in a way where if they want to leave, that's fine. They can leave, but I've given them the tools where they can take to another agency and prosper there.
One of my jobs as a college professor and working with people is working with people in the area of the undiscovered self that they don't know about themselves.
Hope is built off of appreciating what you have. And, I saw this picture earlier today, and it had, one of the things it said, it showed a picture of Cinderella's castle at Disney World. And it said, Disney has lost its magic. We're talking about the pandemic. And, I took my family, we went to Disney World like 2 months before lockdown began. So it was right before the pandemic, and I was just thinking back to it, and I was appreciating what that was, right? Like, we take it for granted. We take so much for granted.